The darkness of the alien sky cracked open with the pulse of 1,000 bright lights. It had been years in the making, the slow infiltration of human colonies on distant planets. But now, it was happening. The Great Armada, forged in secrecy and powered by advanced technology, arrived above the largest human outpost on Sidon 7. The settlers down below didn't even know what was coming for them. They had never experienced the brutality of a full-scale alien invasion. Commander Zaloth sat in the command chair of the flagship Oblivion, a sleek craft whose silhouette alone struck fear into the hearts of all who witnessed it. Zaloth, a towering being of slender limbs and black, segmented armor, stood in stark contrast to the human figures huddled in a trembling mess down below. These humans, so arrogant in their ways, thought they could colonize planets at will. They thought they were unstoppable. But now, Zaloth's forces were descending. "Activate Phase 1, Zaloth ordered." His voice resonated through the ship, its tone cold and calculated. The warships released their payloads, spherical drones that plummeted to the surface, erupting with flashes of electromagnetic energy. The human defenses, weak and primitive, were no match for the storm that tore through their network. Communications were severed, and the humans scrambled, not knowing whether to run or hide. Zaloth watched the chaos unfold with cold satisfaction. This was their moment, total domination of this insignificant species. But as the invasion began, something unexpected occurred. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble. A deep, guttural roar, like the roar of something ancient and immense, echoed across the landscape. The human city that had once stood as a symbol of human progress was now shuddering, as if a sleeping giant had awakened beneath its foundations. "What is that sound?" The control room fell silent. One of the ship's commanders, a nervous-looking creature with translucent skin, began to type rapidly on a console, his fingers trembling. I don't know, Commander," the officer stammered. "It appears something beneath the surface is awakening." Zaloth narrowed his eyes, scanning the chaotic readings on the screens. For all the technologies of his kind, highly advanced weaponry, advanced propulsion, biological manipulation, there was one thing they didn't understand. The planet they had chosen for their conquest was not entirely as it seemed. Beneath Sidon 7's crust lay an ancient network of forgotten creatures, creatures from another age, creatures that no one dared speak of. The planet had once been the home of a powerful and mysterious species who had vanished long before Zaloth's people had even discovered it. Then, the creatures emerged. First, it was a flicker of movement from beneath the ground. Then, massive, segmented limbs breached the surface. Giant, insectoid beasts, darker than the void itself, rose from the earth like ancient titans reborn. Their eyes glowed with an eerie, phosphorescent light. Some had enormous pincers that cracked open like a dying star, others had spiked, armored exoskeletons that seemed impervious to any weapon. Zaloth felt a cold shiver run down his spine. These were not creatures he had summoned, they were something far older, far more dangerous. His forces began to panic as the creatures began to tear through the human defenses, but something strange happened. Instead of attacking the humans, the creatures turned their wrath toward the invaders. It was then that Zaloth realized the mistake. In his blind ambition, he had triggered a dormant force that no one, not even his kind, could control. The creatures were not a part of any biological experiment his species had conducted. They were, in fact, a long-lost remnant of a much older, darker Fall back! Fall back! Zaloth screamed, realizing too late that their invasion had doomed them all. The creatures, their hunger now aroused, turned their attention to the fleet above, their huge, gnashing jaws splitting the hulls of the ships with terrifying ease. In a matter of minutes, the once pristine invasion armada was reduced to floating wreckage, plummeting into the ocean below. Zaloth, now on the ground, found himself face to face with one of the creatures, a hulking beast towering over him, its mandibles dripping with venom. It hissed, its segmented body shifting like a wave of roiling ink. "Commander, we were not prepared for this," one of his subordinates muttered, eyes wide with fear. Zaloth could only watch as the creature's huge, segmented claw reached for him. The fear in his chest was not that of death, it was the realization that they had become the hunted. The creatures were now in control of Sidon 7, and they would not be driven out. The invasion was over. The creatures had awoken. And now, no one could command them. As the final ship fell from the sky, the colony of humans, once scattered and trembling, found a new resolve. They would have to live with the creatures. But they would no longer be prey. They had one advantage, they knew the land. The creatures may have been here first, but now, they had to share. For the first time, the humans